Hello everybody, my name is Ace and welcome to my Lost in Vivo spoiler-free review. Before I get into my review, I think it's important to let you know this game contains violent images and flashing lights, so it isn't for the squeamish, and if you have a disorder that causes you to be sensitive to light, or more specifically, flashing lights, this isn't the game for you. Lost in Vivo is a standalone horror game that focuses on making the player feel a sense of claustrophobia. You start by walking down a narrow path with your cute little service dog, who I named Doggy during my playthrough. It starts raining, the weather quickly gets to be overwhelming, at which point, by some freak accident, Doggy gets swept away into a storm drain. You hastily open the nearest manhole and go in after Doggy. As the game progresses, you go through a series of environments where you learn about people that have various fears. The game has all sorts of clues that help you glean insight into the things that torment them, and your objective is to face those fears head on, and in so doing, finding and saving Doggy. I really enjoyed several things about this game, so let's delve into what makes Lost in Vivo work. The story. The story is interesting. Lost in Vivo takes place in various parts, and each part features a person or people who are going through their own psychological battles. You can find lore scattered all around. There are journal clippings, artworks, and mysterious tapes. These things work together to weave a narrative that reveals each person's fears. There comes a point where you have to face the fears of the people you learned about, and understanding their struggle makes coming out on the other side that much more satisfying. The game is scary. The fact that this game is scary is easily a positive, because that's what it's advertised as, a scary game. I felt terrified more than once. The most unassuming scenes can hold surprises for you around the corner. The monsters you face have various designs, and they challenge your fears in creative ways. The combat is limiting, which adds a sense of urgency. Every choice you make matters. Should you spend your precious ammo, or save it for a truly dire situation? The narrow pathways and tunnels you have to navigate are disconcerting. It's easy to lose your sense of direction. The time spent frantically exploring deeper and darker corners of the sewers, looking for Doggy, make you lose your sense of control. These elements sum up to a really good mix of horrors, so if you're down to get spooked, you don't have to look any further. Lost in Vivo has you covered. The 3D audio. This game uses 3D positioning audio, and when you launch the game, it lets you know that headphones are strongly recommended. This 3D positioning technology isn't a new phenomenon, but the way it's implemented is particularly impressive. Throughout the game, there are many different kinds of enemies, and each enemy has a distinctive sound associated with them. That makes it easy to anticipate and respond to them. But the same sounds that give you such a solid safety net are also what makes these monsters so scary. Imagine, you're traveling down a path that only goes one way. After a while, you hear the sound of something off in the distance ahead. You can only go one way. What can you do? Turning around isn't an option. If you want to make any kind of progress, that is. You know something is waiting for you. You know it will attack you. It's just a matter of when. This game has some aspects that someone shopping around may not like, so let's break them down. Low resolution gameplay. In today's gaming environment, there's a lot of focus on high quality graphics. So much so that some games seem to sell only because their graphics are pretty. This game stands in sharp contrast to that with low-res gameplay. It makes it tricky to understand the scene sometimes. I recall one particular scene where I was riding in a subway, and on the floor were several rat carcasses scattered all around. In addition to that, the ground seemed to be painted red with gore. I have deuteranopia, so it's hard for me to read the color red to begin with, but the low resolution of the scene seemed to contribute to me not really understanding what I was looking at. It wasn't really a game-breaking issue or anything like that, but it did affect the immersion quality of the game. Uncomfortable topics. Lost in Vivo deals with uncomfortable topics. I would be remiss if I told you this game was for everybody. It's a scary game, and it deals with scary themes. I found myself relating to one of them in particular. Going through the journal pages made me feel more and more upset on behalf of this fictional character. So, if you're sensitive to topics that come from the darker side of humanity, you may be better off playing something more peaceful like Stardew Valley or Cookie Clicker. The ending was weak. Without giving away exactly what happens, I will say that the ending was weak. When I checked the Steam forums, there was a certain level of consensus agreeing with that sentiment. There was a point in the game that significantly stands out and makes you question everything that happens to you. So, when I finally beat the game, I sat there for a few minutes, trying to figure out if it was really over. The game had such an exciting journey from the beginning to the climax that when it finally ended, it just felt abrupt and dissatisfying. Just to quickly recap my rating system, it's a system designed to rate a game based on how likely I would be to suggest that game to someone looking for something new to play. I rate things on a 1 to 5 star scale to keep things decisive. People using a 10-point system tend to use only the last few points anyway. Furthermore, I'll avoid using half stars, whole numbers only. A 1-star game is the bottom of the bargain bin, just unplayable and an uninteresting game. A 3-star game is a net neutral. It may have positives to it, but it has just as many negatives, making it a game that's not for everybody. And a 5-star game is one that has a little something for everybody. It's a game that deserves only praise because the level design and the plot is intriguing enough to leave you wanting more. To sum up my review of Lost in Vivo, I would recommend this game to someone who likes scary games, likes psychological thrillers, and doesn't mind retro graphics. I would not recommend this game to someone who is sensitive to flashing lights, has a crippling fear of tight spaces, or who struggles coping with sensitive subject matter. So, what do I rate Lost in Vivo with everything taken into account? I rate Lost in Vivo a very solid 4 stars. This game is most likely to be enjoyed by most horror fans. It has very strong gameplay throughout, with the only exception being the ending. At the time of my recording this, it's a $12 game on Steam, and for that price it's definitely worth a buy. I was able to beat it in about 4 hours, and I was at the edge of my seat for most of it. Before you go, I've got a parting gift for you, in the form of tips and tricks. This may be an obvious tip, but the game has save points, and you should save frequently. This game is particularly spooky, and you may be in for a unique treat if you launch it during the midnight hour. And finally, Lost in Vivo has multiple endings, so you may be interested in figuring out how to unlock them all. I, however, was fine just playing through the game once. Anyway, that'll be it from me, the adorable Ace. And if you liked the video, make sure you pound that like button. And if you want to see more from me, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, it's late, it's dark, I need to go to sleep. I'll see you guys later. Bye.